Hi guys, so in this video we're going to be learning how to factorize and solve cubic equations. So in this case we have x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6 equal to 0, and we have to solve for x. So just like quadratic equations have 2 roots, cubic equations have 3 roots. But the difference is that cubic equations have to have one real root at least, while quadratic equations could have no real root. So basically cubic equations are going to touch the x-axis at least one time. So let's get started. There are 2 methods we're going to use to do this. So let's go with the first method. So method 1, let's write that down. It begins with us having to use trial and error to find the first factor. And yes, I know that this doesn't seem the most mathematical way. There is a cubic formula, which I'll put on the screen now. But as you can tell, it's very, very, very complicated. So it's not advisable to use, and it would be very painful to have to remember for the exam. So it's better to just use this trial and error method because it's much simpler. So if we write it as f of x is equal to x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6, well, we have to substitute values of x to see which one hits 0 and solves for one of the roots in the equation. So the way I like to do it is I like to start by substituting f of 1, then f of negative 1, then f of 2, then f of negative 2. So basically, I'd substitute f of 1 first. If that didn't equal 0, I would substitute f of negative 1. If that didn't equal 0, I'd go to 2, then negative 2, so on. But the moment I get one that equals 0, I stop there. So let's start this process by putting f of 1. So that gives us 1 cubed minus 6 times 1 squared plus 11 times 1 minus 6 when we substitute 1 in, which gives us 1 minus 6 plus 11 minus 6, which is equal to 0. So we've actually found the first factor already, which is x minus 1. Now we can stop there with the substitution and the trial and error, and now we can actually proceed to the main method. So given that f of 1 yielded a result of 0, that means that x minus 1 is a factor. So now, for the first method, what we can do is actually divide x minus 1 from x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6. Because being a factor, it means that it can divide without giving a remainder when divided from this function. So if we divide it, we should get a normal quadratic. Since when you divide a third degree term from a first degree term, you get a second degree term. We'll get a normal quadratic, which we can factor and get the other 2 roots from. So let's just divide it down here. So x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6. And then we also have x minus 1. First thing we have to do is see how many times it goes into this first portion over here. So the way we should do this is first equate the powers. So in order to do this, we have to multiply by x squared. Since the coefficient of x cubed and the coefficient of x in this part is 1, we don't have to multiply by anything else. So x squared times x minus 1 is x cubed minus x squared. So we're going to subtract it from x cubed minus x squared. So the x cubed cancel out, as we expected. But we have negative 6x squared plus x squared, which just gives us negative 5x squared. And we drag the 11x down here. So how many times does x minus 1 go into negative 5x squared plus 11x? Well, it goes in negative 5x times because we're trying to equate the coefficients. That would be multiplying by negative 5. And we have to equate the powers, so multiply by x. And then we have to subtract it from negative 5x plus 5, which is negative 5x times x minus 1, essentially. So this is just normal long division, as you can tell. So the x squared, negative 5x squared plus 5x. So the x squareds cancel out, and we're left with 6x minus 6 when you drag this down. So x minus 1 goes into 6x minus 6 times exactly. So finally, the result is when x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6 is divided by x minus 1, we get x squared minus 5x plus 6. So that's the quadratic we're working with. Essentially, another way of rewriting this is x minus 1 times x squared minus 5x plus 6, which is equal to x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6. Okay, moving this to the top. Now all we need to do is factor out the x squared minus 5x plus 6, which is just x minus 3 times x minus 2. So essentially what we're left with is x minus 1 times x minus 3 times x minus 2 is equal to x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6. And so when we're equating it to 0, our solutions are x equals 1, 2, and 3.